Welcome into another episode of Tailgate Talk SEC. I am Will Thomas. Week 4 preview on deck today. We're 3 weeks in. We're starting to get a better feel for all these teams, which ones can be contenders, which ones are just pretenders. Looking at this week, this is probably the most boring week that we're going to have, even more so than maybe week 1 or 2, just because at this point we're all kind of over some of the cupcake games, right? Like we're in the middle of September, bordering on late September, dare I say, and we're still playing these easy games. Gets a little old at some point, but there are still some good matchups out there that we'll be able to preview today and get to watch on Saturday. So I'm going to go through every game. I'll give you my best bets. I've only got 3 best bets this week because of how few competitive games there are, but we're still going to fire that off. So I can't go 3-2 again this week, but I can definitely go 3-0 maybe, or 0-3. We'll see what happens. But let's just get right into these games, starting off with the cupcake games. UAB at Tennessee. I mean, this is just a bounce-back spot for Tennessee. You're still at home. You're coming off that Georgia game, and you kind of need to take that Georgia game as a proof of concept, saying, what we're doing is working. We can compete with the best teams in the country. Even if we're losing them early in the year, that does not mean that we're going to lose to them in November, in December, in the playoff, maybe even. So you just kind of have to bounce back. You need to flush that from your head, but learn from it at the same time. I mean, go score 70 on UAB. Go score 70 on them. That team is not... UAB is not very good this year, if you guys haven't watched any of their games. And what I also want to see is no turnovers. I know that it's possible that I'm harping on this a little too much with Aguilar because he played so well against Georgia, had those 2 picks, a bit of a lower completion percentage, and I was sort of on him for that. It's possible I'm being a little too tough, but I mean, if you throw for multi turnovers every game, which to his credit he is not, but in the only SEC game he's played through 2 picks, that's a problem. So against a lesser opponent like UAB, I do want to see him have a totally clean game, throw for 350 again, get Brazzell 200 more yards, and just let that offense really fly off the hook. Southeast Louisiana at LSU. I mean, show me some offense, LSU. You've got to show it to me. Score 35 plus. Be efficient. You need to absolutely dominate this directional in-state school when they walk into Baton Rouge, because now the noise about your offense is real. Right now it's real because week 1 at Clemson, you get a bit of a pass. That's a good defense, even if the team's not great. It's a good defense, a very hostile environment. Week 1, it's fine. Louisiana Tech, I mean, a little bit of grace for a sandwich spot, but still not really what you want to be doing. And then against Florida, whose defense I do believe is a playoff caliber defense, only scoring 10 points of earned points at home is bad. It's really, really bad. So the noise is turning up on LSU's offense, on Garrett Nussmeier and those receivers. So can they just be efficient, right? That 35 plus, they don't even necessarily need to hit that in my mind if they just go down and consistently score, right? Let's say they run the ball incredibly well, and these are 8-minute drives, and they only get 31 points, but they've scored on 5 of their 7 drives. That would be a plus for me. I really just want to see efficiency more than volume in this spot specifically because, that's really what they need to work on. The explosives we know are there. We know they can be explosive, at least on paper, but I just need to see efficiency and consistency from LSU's offense this week. Georgia State at Vanderbilt. Vandy's laying 27.5. Just avoid a letdown if you're the Commodores after you win at South Carolina last week and absolutely drop the hammer, because it's funny to say this about Georgia State coming to an SEC program. This is a revenge game for Vanderbilt. They went to Georgia State and lost last year. Now they get them at their home building. I mean, if you think Diego Pavia didn't remember every second of that game against Georgia State last year, you got to learn more about Diego Pavia. He's going to come out fired up. So I really don't believe that they're going to have a letdown spot after that win against South Carolina, because this is a revenge spot. And then next week they get another sleepy team, so it's not like they're going to be looking ahead. Then they get a bye before Alabama. Tell your kids about 5-0 ranked Vanderbilt. Tell them about it, because it's very important that we all know. Sam Houston at Texas. Figure it out. Is Arch hurt or is he bad? I think he's hurt. I think he is injured, because there are many historical examples of quarterbacks with undiagnosed shoulder issues, or at least shoulder issues that are not being made public by the team, where they're just consistently inaccurate. There's less zip on their throws. You're seeing it with DJ Lagway right now at Florida, because he should have gotten shoulder surgery over the summer, and he didn't. And now you're kind of seeing when he's throwing the ball, he still has some great arm talent, and some of the passes are really, really good, but then he has 5 interceptions. He has misses. He has overthrows. He has underthrows. Arch is not a bad passer. He, as a player, does not go 11 of 25 against whoever it was, UTEP. I don't think I've said it before. This year is not his year. I think next year is his year. But he is banged up because 11 of 25 last week is not who he is as a player. It's just not. So if he is hurt, stop playing him and get his shoulder ready for when you have to go play Oklahoma in a few weeks. And if he's not hurt, then you've got to figure out the offense if you're Steve Sarkisian, because it is such a talented offensive profile, and you've been at home against borderline FCS teams unable to do anything. Unable to do anything. So Texas needs to figure it out. They either need to get Arch out of the game if he's hurt, or if he's not hurt like he's claiming, then prove it and go score 45 at home against Sam Houston. That's what they got to do. Finally, Northern Illinois at Mississippi State. This is only, I think, a 21-point spread because Northern Illinois is not a slouch. Thomas Hammock, big boy Hammock over there, he's got NIU playing good football, and he really has for a while. But can Mississippi State, just be efficient? Can they do what they're supposed to do to a MAC team, just handle business, and try not to look ahead to Tennessee coming to Starkville next week? That game is going to be awesome. We already saw what Starkville can do when they've got a big opponent to get up for at home. So just try not to look ahead because NIU can get you at home. Ask Marcus Freeman if NIU can get you at home in a look-ahead spot. So you got to be wary of that. All right, we're out of sleepy games. We are how many? I got 5 games that I think are actually pretty entertaining this week. Let's get right into them. First off, Tulane at Ole Miss. Ole Miss is laying 10.5 in this game. Their quarterback situation is now a quarterback question, right? Because Trinidad Chambliss looked really, really good. Austin Simmons does not. So do you just go with Chambliss now? No matter who it is, I do believe Ole Miss can score. But we have seen their offense look more limited with Simmons than with Trinidad. So I think they should go with Chambliss, and we'll see what happens. But Tulane coming in is not a nobody opponent. That's why the line's only 10.5. Because if you say home field is worth about a field goal, on a neutral field, this game should be only split up by a touchdown. And Ole Miss gave up a ton of points to Arkansas last week. So Tulane is coming in here thinking that they can also score a ton of points. I think this is going to be an up and down the field. I don't really have a great play on it. I still lean Ole Miss to probably win in the end. 10.5 is a lot of points when I don't know how much they can really stop Tulane. So this should be a really entertaining game to watch. I'll take Ole Miss to win. I'm not sure about the number, but if you have to bet this game and you don't pick the over, you're boring and should not be watching college football because that's just lame. That's just lame. But yeah, I'll take Ole Miss to win and probably the over. Arkansas at Memphis. Arkansas is favored by 7, I believe was the latest update before I got on and recorded this. This is the biggest game of Memphis' season. It's their first home game in 2 weeks. So they're going to come out swinging because this is their, I said it with Southern Miss in week 1 against Mississippi State, like this is their national TV game. This is when they can show the country what they are as a program. They have 6th-year quarterback Brendan Lewis running their offense. He's got a 73.3% completion rate so far this year, 608 yards, 2 touchdowns to 1 pick, and 8.1 yards per completion. For Memphis as a team, they have a very good explosive passing offense, but a bad rushing offense. Defensively, they have a good rush defense and a bad pass defense. So Memphis is really on both extremes of we're going to throw the ball and give up passing. We can't run it, but you can't run it either. And Arkansas coming off an absolute thriller at Ole Miss. Their offense looked very, very good. Their defense didn't. Now, how much of that is just a credit to Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin being Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin? I'm not sure. But they have a bad explosive passing grade on defense. And like I just said, Memphis has a plus on offense. Arkansas's passing offense is a plus. So this is going to be an up and down, similar to Tulane Ole Miss. There's going to be a lot of points scored in this game. A ton of points. Total at 61.5. I think we see some total fireworks. I lean Arkansas at 7 flat because I think it's going to be touchdown. I think that Arkansas is on a bit of a bounce back spot. I like where they're at. At 7 flat, I like Arkansas. If it was up to 7.5, then I think your better play would be the over. But this Arkansas game is featured in my best bets. We'll get to that at the end of the video, but I do lean Arkansas at 7 flat, 7 in the hook. Maybe you're better off taking the over. All right, let's go to South Carolina at Missouri. Now, this game was going to be a lot more fun, but before Lenore Sellers got hurt. The line right now is Missouri minus 11.5. That has me thinking that Sellers is out, but it was 13.5 yesterday, and now it's dropped 2 points. So I almost wonder, is there a chance that Sellers is able to go in this game, and this number is just a byproduct of how bad Carolina has looked this year? Because they have a ton of minus grades on offense, line yards per rush, passing down success, points per opportunity, all of that. They do have explosive passing as a plus, but let's say Sellers isn't playing. Can Luke Doty really keep up an explosive passing attack? I'm not sure that he can. And Vanderbilt absolutely bullied them, which, to the credit of, I guess, both Vandy and Carolina, that's not the joke it used to be. Because if Vanderbilt bullied South Carolina 5 years ago, we're talking about, redoing the entire program and changing everything. So it's not as bad as it used to be, but still, you're getting bullied on your home field as a favorite. It's not what you want to see. But can Carolina go on the road and find toughness against what I believe is a very, very good Missouri team? Because Bo Pribula has absolutely blown me away with how good he's been. I was low on him to start the year. He has looked me dead in the eyes and said, watch this, and he has played awesome. I was totally wrong about him. Missouri's running game has been incredible. Ahmad Hardy ran for 250 last week, granted against Louisiana. Now, Carolina has a plus grade stopping explosive runs, which is very, very important against this Missouri team. But they're negative stopping the pass, and Missouri's plus in the pass. So with how good a Missouri's running game is, I almost think that they have to establish it regardless. But you can almost use that a bit as a decoy. Starting to get into your play action, you already have a good matchup in passing offense versus Missouri and South Carolina. Can Pribula get the ball to Kevin Coleman Jr. on the outside? Can he really be dynamic? Can he roll out and take off on scrambles? I'm kind of starting to fall in love with Missouri because their offense has really come around. Their defense is just as good as I thought it was going to be, if not even better. And no Sellers is just no good for Carolina. So my prediction here is based on the idea that Lenore Sellers is not playing. If Sellers is playing, I would still take Missouri to win. But assuming that he's out, I've got like 38-14 Missouri. If Sellers is out, I really think that Missouri is able to lay the hammer. I think Carolina, they don't look good. And that really, I'm not happy about it because I had them going to the playoff. I had Sellers making the Heisman ceremony, if not winning the Heisman. Like, I really was cheering for Carolina this year. They just haven't looked good. And now you have to go on the road for the first time this season, true road game, without your quarterback against a very good Missouri team. With no Sellers, I've got Missouri winning this game at 38-14. All right. Which one should I go to next? I'll do Auburn, Oklahoma next. Oklahoma minus 6.5. I love both of these teams. If you were listening to me over the summer, these are the two teams that were my dark horses. The biggest storyline of this game, obviously, is Jackson Arnold coming back to Norman. Last year, when Arnold was at Oklahoma, it was a bad situation all around with just the offensive line was terrible. There were so many injuries on both sides of the ball for Oklahoma, so they could never get it going together. Now that he is at Auburn and Mateer's at Oklahoma, both sides are better off. Everybody won in this. It wasn't a trade, but just in this shift of quarterbacks, shift of situations. And I can't really wait to see the reception that Arnold gets because I don't think it was Arnold's fault. Oklahoma fans in the stadium on Saturday are going to act like it was. And I don't blame them at all because I would too if I was in their shoes. There's a big edge in explosive passing in this game with Oklahoma's offense versus Auburn's defense. Sawyer Robertson and Baylor really showed the blueprint of how you can attack this Auburn defense through the air. Oklahoma's passing offense, in my opinion, and I believe in a lot of people's opinions, is better than Baylor's. I think that Oklahoma, they have been able to take the top off. I think they're going to continue to take the top off. They have a great data point against Michigan. And my one area of concern for Oklahoma, obviously, is their running game and their offensive line. But I don't even know if they need to run the ball effectively in this game. Because with all the questions in Auburn's secondary and all of the known commodities that we have and how effective their Oklahoma's passing game is going to be, I don't even know if running the ball is going to be important. Which is wild to say in an SEC game, but I really don't think it will be. For Jackson Arnold, he just has to stay calm within himself. Do not let this moment and all of the context surrounding the game overwhelm you if you're Arnold. Because he has looked really, really comfortable. He's looked like he's having so much fun in this Auburn offense, both running and passing. I'm worried about the matchup between Brent Venables and Jackson Arnold. Because Venables, as his former head coach, he knows what Arnold wants to see as a quarterback. He also knows what Arnold does not want to see. He knows exactly how he can make him uncomfortable. And I lean Venables in that matchup against Hugh Freeze and Jackson Arnold. And I lean Oklahoma's passing game versus Auburn's secondary. I've got 31-21 Oklahoma. I think the Sooners keep on rolling along. They stay undefeated. Another double-digit win. I don't think it'll be it'll be a 10-point game, but I do believe it'll be competitive the entire time. I don't think this is like Oklahoma's up by 17 and then Auburn gets one in the back door to make it a 10-point game. I think it's going to be close. Oklahoma ends up winning by 10. Final game of the weekend, Florida at Miami. I just don't know what to do with Florida anymore because this line is 7.5 on the road at what probably is the team that's looked the best in the country so far in Miami. I don't know if you can really point me to a team who's looked better. It's a very tall task for Florida to stop Miami, but their defense has looked very, very good, has Florida's. But the LSU data point of stopping LSU is not quite as impressive given now that LSU has had problems against everybody, and there's more context to where LSU's offense seems like the problem. Long Island is irrelevant that they shut them out. South Florida, you held them to just about the same amount of points that Miami did. That said, I do believe that Florida's defense is better than it was last year. And last year, they forced Carson Beck to throw 3 interceptions to him when they played in Jacksonville. Went back with Georgia. So I do like Florida's defense a lot. I hate their offense. I just hate it because you have an offensive line that was coming in highly touted, multiple All-Americans, underwhelming. Jaden Ball is just not getting carries. Your receivers are not being utilized, and Lagway looks in over his head. There are wins to be had for Florida's offense against Miami's secondary. And it feels like I'm going to do it again here where I dig into these Florida games and I tell myself how they have a chance. I'm not betting Florida this week. I'm not betting them. I have a bet in the game. I'm not betting Florida this week. The biggest matchup in this game is Florida's offensive line versus Miami's front. Can they block Ruben Bain? Can they block Hakeem Mesidor to really open up running lanes for Jaden Ball, who maybe will get more carries? Who knows? But can they also pass protect? Because Miami's secondary is the weakness of that team. It is by far the weakest position group that the Canes will put on the field. So with how good Florida's receivers are and the questions about Miami's secondary, there are wins to be had for Florida in the passing game. But can the offensive line keep Lagway safe, and can Lagway keep the ball safe? Those are the biggest questions. I just said I have absolutely no interest in picking a side in this game, but I have a bet on the total. So yeah, I'll segue that right into my 3 best bets. I've only got 3 because of the smaller slate. My first one is the under 52.5 in Florida, Miami. I believe in the market now. This is 50.5. I got this on like Sunday or Monday because I saw the number. I'm seeing that I'm getting 7 touchdowns and a field goal under because of what I just said about Florida's defense being a playoff caliber, Miami's defensive front being so good, and how Florida has not looked good on offense. I'm not sure they find it on the road in Hard Rock in prime time. So there's good value there because of the market adjusting down to 50.5. I've got 52.5 at minus 115. Second one that I teased earlier, I'm taking Arkansas minus 7 flat at minus 115. Really for every reason that I said, I believe it's up and down, but Arkansas at the end of the day, I think is just going to have more talent, and I think that they're in a good bounce back spot in that game against Ole Miss last week. You know, sort of proof of concept, right? We can hang with some of the better teams in the SEC on the road. We're totally fine. I think they come out swinging. They're trying to make a statement. Arkansas minus 7. I would not take 7.5. I would not take 7.5. I would take the over. If you want to bet this game and the spread is out to 7.5, wherever you're looking. And then finally, I've got Oklahoma minus 6.5 because of that explosive edge in the passing game for Oklahoma because of Venables versus Arnold, and how Oklahoma's biggest weakness, the running game, I'm not even sure that applies because I don't think they have to run the ball against Auburn. So I've got Oklahoma minus 6.5 and minus 112 as my third and final best bet of the week. That'll do it. That'll do it for our Week 4 preview of the SEC. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We've got another great weekend ahead of us. Full slate of conference play, I'm pretty sure, next week. Actually, someone has a cheesy game, but whatever. We're getting a lot more SEC versus SEC starting next week. Can't wait for it. This is the greatest sport on the planet. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I have been Will Thomas, and I will see you next time.